The holiday season is off and rolling with NFL in full stride and the NBA and NHL hitting mid-season form. BetOnline is your number one destination for all your sports wagering info. With up-to-the-minute sports wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions, BetOnline is the top spot for everything pro and amateur sports. And not just the big four. BetOnline has info available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time for almost any sport that is played, from MMA to international soccer. Head to BetOnline today and remember to use our promo code Bleav for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Again, that's promo code BLEAV for 50% off your welcome deposit on your first deposit. Again, that's BetOnline, where the game starts. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. It is the Arizona Cardinals centric specific show where, of course, we wax poetic about the Arizona Cardinals here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. I am one of your co-hosts. I am Javon J. Love Adams. And if you're watching this, I got paint. I got paint on. I painted myself. I got paint.
Oh, you painted?
No, that just for men. I painted, and so we cover this. And again, I am Javon J. Love Adams, and with me is the man who played not only professional baseball but also in the National Football League for that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm talking about none other than author and motivational speaker Ed Smith. What is good, my brother?
Hey, I meant to paint this week, man, and I just couldn't do it. I was so beat up yesterday. Went upstairs to do it, and I was like, nah, I'll just wait. So you're ahead of the game, bro.
Yeah, we do. So for those who are listening, who listen maybe just to this podcast, we do a lot of different things. And so when we do our Easy Sports Talk Show podcast a little bit later this morning, I'll probably get into kind of the reason why I did it. But anyway, every once in a while, because sometimes, your significant other get on your head about, you look so great. If you just did a little bit of, you look so much better. And then my youngest son is, yo, Dad, you got them waves. You got them waves. I said, they're always there. Well, I can see them now. Anyway, so we do this thing twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Monday, we look back on the game that just took place. And on Thursdays, we look ahead to the next opponent. And I think we can't wait to look ahead to the next opponent. But first, we got to get through this one. So the Arizona Cardinals, they welcome.
Can I say one thing?
Funny yes, you can.
I guess that half-point spread they were looking at didn't work out. Somebody had that one off for this game.
Man, yeah, because it was half point, wasn't it? No, it was. Yeah, that hook with
point,
the thing, as they call it.
Half-point spread that I saw.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So yeah, it a little more lopsided than most thought.
Yes, most definitely. So let's get to it a little bit. So the Arizona Cardinals, they welcome the Los Angeles Rams to State Farm Stadium, and so just enjoying a 4 or 5 day kind of holiday weekend, so to speak. I forgot that they were playing at home, but and the funny thing was, Ed, because I live right near the stadium, real close to like a stone's throw away from the stadium. The traffic wasn't as bad as it would be on, let's say, weeks 1 through 11, right? And so you could tell the difference, maybe in terms of the apathy or the lack of interest for it, and that was evident in the lack of traffic.
Yeah, you could see even in the stadium stands, it was light, and when things were happening, it seemed like there were a lot more roars for the opposing team than our Cardinals. And I mean, that could also be just accounted for because there weren't a whole lot of things to roar for the Cardinals. But yeah, I could tell it was light up in there. And I was wondering how the seating, how the traffic would be for you, because it did look like there was, like you said, the apathy has begun to set in.
Yes. So let's get to it. So the final score, 37-14, Los Angeles Rams over the Cardinals, and it really wasn't even that close. So I want to get your thoughts on this game. I do want to throw a stat at you. I heard this yesterday listening to the post game. So the Cardinals have won the turnover battle 6 games this season. 6 games this season. And in those games, they are 1-5.
Wow. That's hard to do when you're getting the ball from the other team. You're supposed to actually be winning more of those games. But yeah, well, yes. I mean, a lot of that comes from, we're just not that talented. But, when when you look at how we, the game plan, even it was, I don't know what they were thinking in terms of, coming out and first drive looked good, Jay, and once again we didn't score. We didn't score till the later part of the fourth, into the fourth quarter. So there's a lot of gap in there in between where we're not doing a whole lot with this ball. A lot of 3 and outs, a lot of completing passes, but once again our passes are side to side. We're not going up the field a lot. And is that a sign of what? I mean, if all elements are the same, meaning we have the same quarterback in there now, but we're still getting the same results, with different game plan, is it the quarterback that, because nothing is vertical, everything is side to side. I mean, he completed Kyler completed 27 passes for 256 yards. I mean, I guess that's average, but still a lot of our stuff is, up side to side, very horizontal. And I'm not sure whether that's a trait of the quarterback or the game plan that was put in, but and we can talk about that under center. There's still not a whole lot of under center, bro. It's a lot.
Let's get to that. Matter of fact, let's get to it. So the Cardinals on their second drive, I believe it was, they scored on their second drive, and what was interesting is that Kyler was under center like five times during that drive, and then the rest of the game it was non-existent. I mean, how do you? There's something that we say about how do you get better using your Traeger. You use the Traeger often, right? You don't just use it once and say, I didn't do a good job. I think I'll try it next month. No. You better use it a couple times, maybe a couple times a week. You get what I'm saying? It's that frequency, it's that consistency. But then also on the coaches, because you're the ones calling the plays. So if you saw that you had success with him being under center, let's him under center a little bit more, because if this season is a wash, then if this season is down the drain, then we gotta at least get him comfortable so that when next season comes, if he's on this team, that he is comfortable with being under center more often than not.
That would be my game plan. Or would you go find someone who's more comfortable doing it under center? Because like I said, it's just not, I don't know. It just does not look, I don't know. I'm trying to get the words for what Kyler looks like. And it just, I don't know. You always say it, Jay, it just doesn't quite curl here. I don't know. Something's just not right. Yeah. It's something that's just not right when it comes to how it's supposed to look out there. And I will say this much, though. The lack of talent around him is also showing as well. You saw what Stafford's able to do with those, he got Williams back. He had Cooper Kupp out there, Puka. They seem to have, it's hard to imagine, because you think they had stripped their coverage bare as well. But the Rams have more talent than us. When teams have more talent, you can see what they can do. So, and, I didn't like like I said, I'll speak on it, the game plan in terms of the running game. We didn't get that going, or we bailed on that too quickly. And also some of the decisions that they make, that fourth down decision, I don't mind the decision, but the play itself got to be a little more creative. I don't know. I just don't see things clicking right now.
So let's get into a little bit. So let's go into the kind of the decision making in terms of play calling, like going away from the run game. I Bleav Connor had how many rushes? He had I think 6 rushes, if I'm not mistaken.
6 rushes,
if we're looking 6. At that, let me see. Let me look at the 6 rushes. How do you, even if the game is starting to get away from you a little bit, but you got to have more rushing attempts, if nothing else, in that first half, as you're trying to say, this is what our DNA is. We're going to stick with the game plan. Maybe in the third quarter, we have to flush it all and try to regroup and adjust, but you give up on it so quickly.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was a priority even right from the start. I mean, if you look at it, we came out of the first quarter with the lead, 8-7. And I will say something just wasn't quite clicking in terms of even sustaining drives, because it seemed like the Rams had the ball for an exorbitant amount of time when we, were pitter-pattering even round into the second quarter. It just seemed like they controlled the ball, even though the score was 8-7. And then the next thing you know, they started grinding in that second quarter. and scored twice, and then going into halftime 21-8, and then there was the gaffe at the end of the first half with I think we kicked the field goal, but we had a penalty that took that off the board. So just too many
Oh yeah,
mistakes.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you would imagine we would have got another crack at it. Yeah, but because time expired, they were able to take the penalty, no additional play, and we don't get those points. So just too many mistakes. Team like this can't afford to make those mistakes when you're, like I said, when you're lacking in talent. But just the ball just never seemed to drop the Cardinals' way in this game. It just everything that could go wrong kind of did, and at the end of the first half, that was just kind of more of the same.
What the things that we talk about, so we've talked a bit about, we'll get into Kyler a little bit more, but a lot of this stuff, I think, then I want to get into what I was hearing today. You might have heard this morning as well, but zombie football might be coming, and get into what that definition of what that means, and if you agree with that, or I think another way of saying it, business decisions might be on the way, and that might be some of the things that we saw during this game. But if we get into, we've talked about the coaches and putting in the culture and all the things that go along with that, but what is it like from a player's perspective if your coaches, yes, they're new to this, but you talked about it last week. I think it will, if you get to a certain point in the season, you're no longer a rookie, right? So you get to a certain part in the season, you're no longer just a first year head coach. You got enough under your belt to be able to at least be confident about it. If you see that your coaches are making the plays that they're putting in are a little bit suspect, what does that do for you as a player?
Well, it does kind of start to hit you, especially around this time of the season where we're supposed to be getting more, I guess more out of what we're doing. And as you mentioned, rookies are no longer rookies on the field, as well as the coaching staff, and players can look and they can start to get the sense that this is what our coaching staff is. And it doesn't, it's not, there's nothing exotic about them. But part of that might be because they're still learning and still a little tentative to pull the trigger. But at the same time, you got to start thinking. I was even imagining there would be more, fake punts. I did like the fake punt that we ran. I would just think there would be more of that. And when you got Kyler Murray back in the offense, I thought there'd be more creativeness. You got this tool, but here's the thing, Jay. So many things are working against this team. They had got their franchise quarterback back, but they're still probably scared to throw him out there and let him be full Kyler because of the injury factor, because they're still not sure of what they're doing next year. And if they do know what they are doing next year or where the direction they're leaning, then, it's even more pause for the cause, because maybe they don't want to have it. I'll ask you, because to me, it looks like Murray is really not, I wouldn't say tentative, but not willing to pull the ripcord and get out of that pocket as much as he used to, as he normally does. There were a few times, and I know I will credit the Rams defense. They did exactly what their philosophy with Murray is we're going to get our ends to contain up, and then pressure him in his lap so he can't escape. So they did a pretty good job of that, but still I was, expecting Murray to, scramble a little more, get out of there, create. And it's not, and that might be the part where he's not quite confident in that knee enough to get out there. So he's, still, not quite full Murray, and they might know that. And like I said, then you throw in all the other factors. It just doesn't look like he's all the way back from this knee, and it's going to take time. And that therein lies the question of how do they evaluate him if they're, and maybe they see more in practice. I don't know, but he just doesn't look like his normal self to this point. And, maybe they've advised him not to be too crazy out there on the field, but there's a lot there's going to be a lot of speculation, and then we'll see if my theory is correct moving forward. If we get to a point, 2-10 now, maybe they get to a point where, okay, we've seen enough. I don't know.
All right. So Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. Again, I want to get into that question of either business decisions or zombie football in just a second. But I do want to ask this. So I came across an article. It was after the game. Dan Bickley it wrote it, and he talks about the 1, 2, 3, the 3 games worth of Kyler Murray. The first excitement. The second one was a little bit of a hiccup, and the third was for the most part it was, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, but it was a lot of what we got from him last season and the season before, which was some of those duds. You just don't know. So is this? It's almost as if this is who Kyler is, or do they have to take more of a strong hand in molding or reshaping this young man to do things that he's not comfortable with? Because if this is the Kyler that we're going to get, more of that, a lot of that up and down, and a lot of the turbulence, the stock market, so to speak, that rising and falling action, then that's not going to be necessarily good enough to get this team where they want to be consistently, at least in the playoffs, if nothing else.
Yeah, and I almost saw a couple times where he was tempted, meaning Kyler was tempted to throw those hands up, where like in frustration he didn't. But I think they're evaluating. Seriously, I think they're evaluating not just his physical, but also how he's handling things on the field and interacting with the play, his teammates and stuff like that, and dealing with the adversity of maybe he feels like he's still his self, but not quite being able to put that all out there, because of the injury, because of the lack of talent around him. And yeah, it does look like just the same old from last year toward the end, where there wasn't much exciting about it, and he wasn't leading the brigade to say, and maybe he can't with this group because, like I say, he doesn't have a whole lot of talent around him. But it just, you take those what we call some of the other franchise quarterbacks, and it seems like they're still able to do more with less. And I'm still waiting to see that from Murray. It doesn't look like to this point he's been able to do more with with what he has, and that's that's probably what they're looking at. And because you got to think about it too, it's not like they can just wave a magic wand and next year all of a sudden we're going to have all this talent around us. This is a rebuilding process, and for the next at least couple of years it's going to be gradually getting better. But it's unless you hit those home runs in the draft, in free agency, it's not going to look dramatically different. And because they have stripped it down so much, and are they willing to pay Murray for that for the next couple of years? I don't know. Maybe you go out and get a rookie to build with the other prospects that you're going to be bringing in here. I don't know. It just doesn't look to this point like a great fit to me.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. So let's go to this. So I mentioned it a couple times. Zombie football, or playing to make business decisions. So the Cardinals are 2-10. When you look at the draft positioning, they are right now, as of right now, unless they go on some winning streak, they're locked in for like one of those top 3 positions, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean? Because you talk about this from time to time. What does it mean when a player, when the season is pretty much over, starts making business decisions? Can you give me a couple of examples of business decisions?
Well, there's all kind of, guys will start to on the field to see that tackle that they would normally go 100 miles at. And, we're getting closer to the off season, and this is not just for, let's say this, Jay, it's not just for the off season because, hey, I'm going to go into the off season healthy so I can take vacations and stuff like that. This is also going into the off season just in case you're not part of the plans here, or if you're a free agent, you don't necessarily want to be a part of this. I want to be healthy enough so I can go show teams, in a workout that I'm, what I can do. If I'm all banged up, then that might not be the best look for me. So, they start pulling off on some of those tackles. They start, like as you call it, making those business decisions. They're not going to pile on and go 100%. They might get 85 and try to make it look like 100. That type of thing. And then what happens? You get a lot of missed tackles. You get guys not running to the ball. You get extended. The other team looks like they're working a lot harder out there because they're working toward getting into the playoffs, toward, trying to get that last wild card spot. Whereas we're working toward just finishing the season off and getting to the off season. And that's what it's, that's when it was called making those business decisions, when it's time to start thinking more about myself and my well-being than the team's well-being, because I'm not sure about my position here, or like I said, even some of the high-end guys, they know they're going to be here. You want to spend your offseason rehabbing, or do you want to spend your offseason laying on the beach because you're not mandated to be at the facility because you're off that injury report? So yeah, there's all kind of different ways. And then you got the guys that are just trying to be on a roster anywhere they can be. They're going to give you everything they got. But what happens is now you've got a team of a few of these guys, a few of those guys, a few of the other. And it's not, at the beginning of the season, what did we say, Jay? These guys were flying to the ball. Everybody's working hard. They're in there for the cause. Now you get a percentage of each of these different types of guys. And that's when it really starts to look, bad, because everybody's not on the same page anymore from this point moving forward in the season.
So if you're looking at it like that, that's from the player perspective, and you've been on the coaching side of things, a position coach before. If you were a coach, if you were the general manager, how are you? So let's start it from the coach, and then we'll go to the general manager part of things. So if you were a coach, how do you combat that malaise, that indifference that might be in a certain section of the players in the locker room?
Well, as a general manager, you want to be visible, one, to the team. You want to make sure that they know you're still there and you're still evaluating. And we have a purpose here, and I need everybody to be on board for what we're trying to accomplish. And then you start weeding out as well, Jay. There are certain players you're starting to see their lack of interest or lack of effort. And those are the guys you want to start getting out of here. And you'll see what happens is, at this time of the year, everybody's thinking, well, why are you guys bringing in players to work out for, they're bringing in players because they're evaluating, we need to get rid of some of the players that we might not think are here for the long haul, for the purpose that we're here. And those guys will start to be weeded out. And you're looking for talent from other rosters. If you're a general manager, your job is never done. You're still working, from the first day to the last day of the season, looking to find those pieces that are pieces for here. So, and that means when you're bringing in, that means you're also getting rid of. So as a general manager, you're always on the job trying to figure out, we got some guys that don't quite fit what we're doing. And, I'm scouring the practice squads and the free agent wire, the waiver wire and stuff like that, because the job for a general manager is, at the end of the year, especially a bad year, it's just beginning. You're now on the clock, not for just the draft, but you're trying to, like I said, get this roster to where it needs to be. So they're always on the hunt. And, good general managers just wants to make his face seen and let players know that, don't get too comfortable.
And what about, lastly, leave me with this, what about the coaches? So if you're coaching, because if you're a yeller, all of a sudden that yelling isn't going over quite as well, because there are a lot of people that are they're rolling their eyes because I'm looking towards the end is closer than the beginning. What do you do from a coaching perspective to not only to help your GM weed out those ones you don't want on the team, but to try to get a strong finish to the season?
The film never lies, Jay. That's what film study is all about. I'm telling you, bro, the film never lies. And that's at practice. That's, all of a sudden you see don't practice, guys aren't giving you everything they got. And then it's toned down a little bit, obviously, as the season goes on, but it's attention to detail. It's, does everybody know what they're supposed to doing like they did in week 1 through 5, 6, 7, meaning, your assignments. And also now you're correcting more at this time of the season. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. We've been doing this for a bunch of weeks. And now all of a sudden, guys don't know the changes in the, assignments and different things like that. That's when you start to figure, okay. So then, like I said, like the tape, you turn on the tape, bro, whether it's practice or the game tape, and you got that little clicker with that little red dot. That's what that little red dot is for, to let everybody know this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I'm willing to accept, and right here, and they do a little circle motion when they're circling the player, and that red dot is just going round and round, and that's, hey, we can't have that. So, good coach, you can't let it go at this time of the season. And it's hard, bro. When you get to 2-10, and you're looking, and now you still got 7 to go. The good thing is you got the bye week coming up soon. Why they gave the Cardinals? It's almost like they punished them with a week 14 bye. What is the reason for a bye at this point in the season? You might as well just go ahead and finish it on out. I'd be like, look, can we just scrap that and push the other games together and just get them over with? But they will have their bye coming up in a couple weeks. They can get away for a minute and try to finish the stretch out. But it's rough, man. I've been on a couple of those teams where there's light at the end of the tunnel is actually a train. It's not sunlight, so it's a rough finish. At 2-10, there's not much to look forward to other than maybe some goals and the incentives that some of the players have.
I came across another stat in an article that I read that the Cardinals, this now with another double-digit loss season, that this is the 19th time that they've had double-digit losses since they've been in the Valley over the last 35, 36, however many years. But think about that. I mean, it takes a lot to change a culture.
Still haven't been favored in a game this year either. We got close with the half-point spread there, but still have not been favored in the game at home against the Rams team. It came in 4-6 or whatever they were. So yeah, it's a rough one, man.
Half point. So he is the one and only. He's the one and only Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. We do this twice a week, Monday and Thursday. Make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here. As always, we are presented by Bet Online. And so when we reconvene on Thursday, we'll be talking about the upcoming battle. We're going to where are we going? We're going to goodness gracious, I think
Pittsburgh.
It's Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. Pittsburgh, yes, Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's going to be an easy game. Yeah. All right. So we'll get into that when we get into that. So until next time, make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here. I Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. And as we always like to say around this time, you can. There we go. Oh, wait, hold on. Technology, folks.